Hey yo, what it did, y'all? Let's get right into it. First off, Happy New Year. And now, let's talk about survivability a little bit because I feel like we already know that, armor is struggling, energy shield is thriving, especially with Grim Feast, and a bunch of other thoughts in between on survivability. But I feel like there's been one aspect of survivability that hasn't been talked about nearly as much as it should be. That is crowd control. Because as I used to always say, the best CC is death. And the second best CC is literal CC, right? And in PoE 2, it feels like it's incredibly important to have crowd control in your build, at least until you have enough damage to use death as your crowd control. This poses an interesting problem that it took me a couple characters to really run into because I played characters with so much CC in their kits naturally, right? If you think about monks, they have a lot of good access to freeze, right? And then also the ability to stun bosses into oblivion. If you think about the chrono that I played, it's a ice wall or an ice crystal chrono. Freezes pretty much everything, right? And so now it's on this third/fourth character because I haven't shown you guys the witch that I've been playing, the blood mage, but that one also pins a lot of enemies and also has pretty good stun put up on like larger targets. But now I'm playing a spark character, and it occurred to me that without electrocute in, I can't CC things in order to like keep myself from dying. But if I put electrocute in, I don't get to shock very many things, and therefore I still do no fucking damage. This is the conundrum that led me to making this video. Now, before I get too deep, I need to thank you guys, honestly. Like, we're going into 2025, right? Starting up the new year, right? And I need to start it off by being grateful for you all. Yes, I really did make a whole segment just to be thankful for you guys because this has been an insane past like 10, 11 months for the channel. I remember being over the moon when my channel passed 200 subscribers, like early 2024, like around the start of Acropolis. I was like, oh my God, my channel's growing, and it was like 200 something subs. And here we are now. We almost hit, I had a stretch goal of 2,500 for the year is what I set for myself going. Like coming around my birthday time, I was like, it'd be kind of crazy if we hit 2,500 by the end of the year. And the fact that we almost made it happen, shit sucks we didn't make it there. But the fact that y'all made that happen is just awesome. And I really want to thank you guys for that because it's been an incredible year. Of course I'm going to continue making content, continue doing what I do, but I just wanted to, thank you guys for all that. Back to the video. Okay. So prompted by just straight up not being able to play the game in certain circumstances, why do I think that the crowd control is actually so important, right? Well, what does crowd control do? It controls crowds. It's in the name. Specifically, it removes their ability to play the game, right? We never say crowd control and it's stuff like, oh yeah, it just protects us. No, it is specifically denying them agency. And as we all know, that has also always been the most effective way to kill us. We complain about getting body blocked because it removes agency from us. And that's like the whole thing with that section on the Dreadnought where the enemies fly over to box you in. It is intended to deny you agency to get you killed. Perfect. Or you can get, say, like option 2, enemies that will just stun you and get you blown up, right? It's why stun is still in this godforsaken game, even though it's such a terrible mechanic, right? Or, you look at door number 3, you get frozen, or door number 4, you just die, right? But all of these different ways to help lead you towards your death, forms of crowd control. It's just as critical for the enemies as it is for us. Ideally one-shotted, or just straight up stopping from playing the game. We run into the same thing, and it's really noticeable in PoE 2, the difference between builds that do and don't have CC compared to PoE 1. Because in 1, yes, I noticed when my builds were lacking in the CC department, right? It's not hard to know that you're your poison pathfinder is not exactly the greatest at CCing the mobs in front of you. But when you have adequate amount of defenses in other forms, or appropriate amounts of gear, or enough damage to kill things quick enough, or, in PoE 1, we have mobility to get out of situations that get a little hairy because we couldn't CC the enemies. When you have all of these other ways to solve a problem, not having crowd control is a lot less problematic. That is not the case in PoE 2. When I look at PoE 2, when you think about the gameplay, we've had the talking points between this channel and Reddit and other channels and on stream and other streams and whatnot for the past who knows how long, right? This entire month, basically, we've been talking about it nonstop. And the number one thing in common at every discussion is the fact that we do not feel like we have enough agency. This is just one more side to the building that we've constructed out of that, right? We do not have agency in the ability to stop enemies very freely. And now, before I keep going, I need to posit the really obvious counterpoint of, yes, you can just do horrific skill swap setups that get it done, right? Yeah, I could just slot in, I don't know, a frost wall setup of some sort to try to force in enough cold to freeze some things and call that sufficient, I suppose. Or, the same way that you're incentivized to play ice skills on Monk, even though you might only want to really use the lightning skill so that you can freeze things and keep it pushing, right? Yeah, that's an answer. But I don't think that's a good answer to the problem, right? I think using the breadth of skills to find cool solutions to problems is okay-ish, but I feel like the strength of the breadth of skill selection comes in the skill combos for damage and clear and stuff. That's really where this combination stuff shines. And I don't think we should be putting so much attention into the part where you actually have to index into that way of playing the game in order to survive. Especially because you do not get enough skill gems to even make that work, quite frankly. Or, if you need new spirit gems, you don't get enough of that either, right? You don't actually get enough of these types of things early enough when these problems are occurring in order to fix them. So I don't love relying on them when this could be designed in other ways, right? So all of that to say, what is my solution, right? Because I'm posing problems. Now I need to, quick caveat, I don't do solutions for the sake of, hey, GGG, fix your game shit. It's more just painting a picture of a world that could work. And what I'm pointing this stuff out in this video for is actually to add fuel to the gearing problems fire, to the state of defenses fire, to the, right? I'm not really aiming to say we need specifically more CC options across the board, but more so to point out yet another stone in the incredible work that has been created as far as why that shit sucks. And so what that means is that my ideal solution is that the enemies are slower. Straight up, just slow down the enemies or give us mobility. Pick your favorite. Don't really care which one it is. But I think the real problem for me stems from the fact that you can get caught in so many situations where you just have no actual gameplay options. And as much as I would love to, fix gearing, fix skill design, fix progress, yada, yada. The number one thing that has made me close PoE 2 time and time again over the course of the past month when I try to play is dying and feeling like I had no active agency in the situation. It's the same thing that gets us tilted in PoE 1. You run through a map, die to some bullshit, feel like you had nothing you could do about dying to that bullshit. You tilt after the third death to that bullshit, close the game, right? That's what it feels like in PoE 2 a lot of the times. You get boxed in or die to some nonsense. You realize that, the dodge roll still sucks because it can't actually go through that many enemies. There are not very many enemies that are small enough to be pushed around like they said we would get. I don't get why we don't just have the dodge roll that passes through things, but hey, look, whatever, man. But that's the thing, right? For whatever reason, we are not provided the active combat options to not get fucked. right? And that's the problem. Period. Point blank. That's it, right? Like, that's the big problem. If we had active options to solve problems, I think we'd feel a lot better about a lot of the rest of the game. And it lets the game start to lean more on its skill. When I look at what makes a game like Elden Ring and Dark Souls and whatnot incredible, I'm only referencing these because everybody and their mother has referenced them as inspiration points for PoE 2, right? What makes those games incredible is the display of skill in the gameplay, right? You see somebody go for, a SL1 run and you're like, oh my God. But you're like, oh my God, because of the raw mechanical gameplay needed to dodge all of the hits and then, properly poise break and whatnot, right? Like there's mechanical value to that gameplay. And obviously I pick a ridiculous extreme to talk about, but even when you're playing the games regularly, a part of the appeal, a part of the thing that keeps you going is that feeling that you've outplayed the game. I do not feel like we are outplaying the game. I feel like we're losing in systems design. We are losing because we can't move. We are losing because modifiers suck. We are losing because we can't CC the mobs 9 times out of 10 so that we could try to pretend that we have active agency. That's the thing, right? Active agency is what we need in our survivability. It's why, again, I didn't want to talk about just armor, evasion, regular nonsense, because that's passive and you don't feel that. You don't feel like you did something in the moment that makes you better. And that's an important part of all games, quite frankly. You need to feel like you did something that makes you just be like, yeah, I'm better. I'm him. I'm her. Whoever the fuck I am. That's what this game needs. And that wraps it for me, right? Now, in this exit, right? Why did I even bother making this video? I bothered making this video because it's a perfect time to kind of put it out there that, we've done both a month of just hard PoE 2. I'm going to start shifting towards the Torchlight season that's coming up soon because I am a little frustrated with PoE 2 at the moment and I'm waiting on more patches. I'm waiting for them to actually fix some of the problems that have come up over the past couple of weeks. There's a number of problems that you guys are probably more aware of than even I am at this point, because I had almost a week off for holiday purposes. But, between the trade situation and all the combat problems that we've talked about here and elsewhere, right? There's a lot of problems in the game right now that we need some changes for. And so Torchlight season starts in a week's time. I'm still going to be playing PoE 2, obviously. It's not like we're going anywhere. It's just to kind of also give you the heads up that, we're going to start bouncing around again soon, at least while waiting for this game to get content, because the only content that there really is in the game remaining is for me to level characters on repeat or suffer through the Atlas experience that I don't enjoy until it gets updated. So I love you. Anyways, thank you guys for watching. If you guys want to, extend these conversations, there's a Discord in the description that you can come have it in chat, or you can come stop by my Twitch. That link is also in the description to further the conversation. Let me know you guys' thoughts on the topic down below, and I will see you in the next one. Peace.